All right. I think we're live. Are we live? All right. I think we're live. Okay, so this is a quick stream. Usually don't go live, but we're gonna go live right now. I might do a live like twice a week at nighttime, like a late night stream here on Unscripted Opinions. And there's a lot of buzz going around leading up to the Epstein files released. And for some reason, though, the responses are not what I anticipated. Like, obviously, the first batch of declassified files was a nothing burger. It was pretty much the same stuff that was already public record, no client list, but that's troubling in itself. The troubling part about this bullshit release was the the clown show that the GOP put on all the way from Pam Bondi to the MAGA influencers to the House GOP judiciary account on social media. I think is run by Jim Jordan. All these factors have made a joke out of this Epstein list. It's like they're, and remember, this was supposed to be the side that wanted to get to the bottom of the trafficking. We're talking about over 250 women, girls, young girls, underage girls that were trafficked, human trafficked by Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein. And it wasn't all just for Epstein. There were clients. He got those girls for others in his world to enjoy. And you would think the party that for 4 years that kept saying Joe Biden's a pedophile, that kept saying that Clinton's on the list and all this stuff like that, and just talked about human trafficking, right? They had the movie Sound of Freedom. They were promoting that hard. They were saying how they wanted to fight against even some GOP right wingers were real passionate about fighting human trafficking. And you would think after all that, they wouldn't be making jokes about the client list or making this into a laughing moment. Like what the House GOP account tweeted was disgusting in regards to that. And if you haven't seen it, I don't know if it's still up. It could be gone. But they tweeted that out last night. Absolutely disgusting. What these people here when they went to the White House? Let me see if I can show it. When they went to these guys right here, these four went to the White House and holding up their binders like they had something great in there, like they had some major development, smiling in front of cameras and taking pictures for their social media pages. Disgusting work. Nasty, disgusting. We're talking about underage victims of sexual abuse, human trafficking, and this is some kind of smiling moment. And you didn't show anything. You don't have nothing. You have no names. You have no indictments. You have no arrests. You have no accountability. But we're smiling. What the fuck are we smiling about? What could be so happy? What could you be smiling about in this moment to have you posing for cameras for something that is nothing? Nothing, a nothing burger. This is a joke to you guys? I don't want to hear another single word about you guys being the party of protecting children, protecting women, protecting stopping human trafficking. Don't want to hear it. Never again. You have lost all credibility when it comes to fighting for children and women. You've lost all credibility. This stunt that you guys pulled between this crap, this photo, between Pam Bondi and her bullshit release of some bullshit files, and the House GOP Judiciary account committee, it was supposed to be really serious and getting down to the bottom of shit. You lost credibility. This is the nail in the coffin. And I hope that some of the MAGA people, the hardcore MAGAs, are pissed off. And this is an easy one to be pissed off at, actually, because this really doesn't directly doesn't involve Donald Trump at all. So if you're a hardcore MAGA and you're like pro-Trump, you could be pissed at these fuckers. These fuckers don't mean jack shit. You have it out here. You could be mad. You could still be MAGA, hardcore MAGA, and get mad. Have some flex. This is an easy one to show, hey, just because they're all MAGA, that doesn't mean we back every move they make. This is an easy one to call out. Hey, what's going on? Show your force, because if you sit back and you make excuses and you go, well, what about the Democrats? Like, if you do that stupid shit, then you're just as bad as these goofballs that pulled the stunt today. Don't want to hear about it. You cried, you yelled and said for 4 years it was gonna get the list out. You called for it. Martin Taylor Greene was calling for it. All the people was calling for it early on in the first half of Biden's term. Yes, the Democrats didn't do anything. The FBI didn't want to do anything for whatever reason. We can come to our own speculations on why they didn't do it. But it's not relevant now, because now you have the chance to do it. And you pull this stunt. Now, there are some people that are making excuses, which is crazy. They're saying, well, it's got to take time. Like, okay, how many years? How many years does it take to go through records? All you got to do is redact the women, the victims, redact their private information. You don't need that much time to release a client list. Take these fuckers to the grand jury and get indictments. If they have audio and video of this shit with the list, that alone should be enough to indict. You got audio, you got video, you got the list of names. That's an indictment. You go right to that goddamn DC grand jury that's 99.9% conviction rate, and you put them through the ringer. But yeah, I know there's powerful people on the list, and not like I could understand the left probably being hesitant doing that, because they say, oh, we got to protect the elite and we can't destroy. But fuck it, look what Donald Trump and his administration is doing right now. They're knocking down the federal government. So at this point, does it really matter? What are we protecting? It's almost like Trump has done us a favor here, folks, indirectly. I don't know if he's done it on purpose, but by allowing Elon Musk to run havoc and destroy shit, this is a perfect time to ring up and indict all these fucking crooks, these pedos. Because we already about to crash and burn. So what? I think if you was calling for the government to crash and burn, right? Because a lot of the MAGA people were like, yeah, we want Elon to come in and destroy everything. We want the deep state taken down. So you would be okay with if the Epstein client list crashed the government. That's an acceptable crash that I think everybody, regardless of what side you on, would be willing to accept. You'd be like, yes. No, we don't want you to crash and burn to in aid to vulnerable populations. But if you want to release the Epstein client list and and hold those pedos accountable, those powerful elites accountable, and that may crash the government, yeah, we'll take that. We will take that every day of the week. Most people would. Again, you poll it, poll it. Where's those posters at? Go around and ask those posters to the people who are in the know, informed of what this means, and ask them, hey, would you be okay with the government crashing if it meant that everybody on that client list is exposed and held accountable? Everybody would say, yes, I will be okay with it. I'll put the cuffs on them myself. But we know they're not going to do that because they all protect each other. Because we know on that list is everybody that's represented by both political parties. We know that for a fact, without question. Because if it was only one party, whether it was just one side or the other, that list would have already been out. But it's both sides, so they got to figure out a way to how to protect themselves. We know that the two-party system has existed as long as the two top dogs is because they both protect each other. Yeah, they fight in the open in front of us to divide us so we can see, oh, look, Democrat yelling at Republican, Republican yelling at Democrat in Congress. But behind the scenes, they kumbaya, they go to parties, they drink, they have a fund in the house for when women feel like they've been abused or potentially sexual assaulted. They pay the women off with our tax dollars. They have a side fund in the house, right? Think about that. And guess who's been in charge of the House for years? Republicans. And then before that, it was Nancy Pelosi as Speaker. At any moment, remember, Nancy Pelosi is a fucking woman. Why at any moment she could have said, you know what, no more slush fund to pay off abusive victims. Right? Remember, these are the people who claim we protect women. Women are empowerment. But she's the number one stock trader in political history. Right? So she's like, well, maybe I'll let that fund go. Just don't come at me about my stock trading. I'm going to trade stocks. So you guys can have your fund, pay off your girls. And then Republicans take over. Mike Johnson, the Christian man. I'm the Christian conservative. Has he exposed that list? Has he said, hey, no more paying off women, or doing stuff to women? We got to pay them off. Does he shut that fund down? No. He doesn't shut it down. So they're all crooks. They're all crooks. And they all fight to protect each other, both sides. Protect each other's power, and they rotate it out. Oh, okay, it's our turn. We'll do this. It's your turn. We do that. We all protect each other. We all protect our own asses. Because think about it, if they was to go really hard at each other, because there's a lot of shit to go hard at, right? You could literally first things up, insider trading, right? They tried to pretend that they were down for stopping insider trading. They tried to pretend they were down with, oh yeah, Pelosi's, what a joke. Pelosi got on this. She's like, you're the queen bee. You're the queen bee. Come on, you didn't want to stop that. You pretend you want to stop because you know you already at the end. But you're the queen bee. And they're all trading. Like 99% of them are trading. All the intel they get. They're sitting on committees, Martin Taylor Greene, all of them. Both sides. Enjoying that free money. But they work together to stay in power because they want to remain, they keep a third party away, right? They keep the third parties and the fourth parties and the fifth parties from trying to get any ground. That's why they don't go hard at it. That's why they're not trying to tear each other down. Because literally, this list can probably potentially crash both political parties at the same damn time if it got out. At least probably the donor class at best, right? At least the donor class would be crushed. And it's interesting because there was rumors that, and here's the kicker. So I remember a couple weeks ago I read something that they were saying how a lot of the Democrat donors, the ones who were supporting Kamala Harris and Democrats in the last election, they've all slid and backed out and started going to Trump. Right? The donors, the donor class. Like the not the and we talking about the grassroots, not the grassroots, but the donors who like been with the Democrats. Um and they just say, "Oh, we're messing with Trump now. We're with Trump." Could that have been a bribe? Could that have been a, hey, that list get out? We might be on that, or friends of ours might be on. How about here's some millions we donate to you? Make sure that list doesn't really see the light of day, or get us off of it, or try to finesse it to where we're not exposed. And maybe Trump ordered that list. Now this is if you believe Trump is completely innocent here, right? Which I'm not surely 100% to say, but I'm just gonna play a different angle here. Maybe Trump had this list release or this process because there's no list. There's no list. But maybe Trump said, "Hey, dangle the carrot out there to see if who can come crawling to him to bribe him off, right? Because he seemed to be for sale right now. So maybe he's like, okay, Pam, release the first part. Don't really, just kind of repackage the stuff that's already been out there. Just put an official letterhead on it on a website so it could be official, and we'll see who's gonna come crawling." So then the people start calling. They're knocking on the door. Hey, Mr. President, can we talk to you? We thinking about investing here, or how you like this? We got 100 million there, 20 million there. And then once that start happening, you're gonna start hearing about new relationships, new alliances with Trump and these new donors and these new big hedge fund guys, right? If you start hearing about that in the next months to come, then you need to start looking there at who was possibly on that list. Because the list is not going to come out, guys. You do know that. The list is pretty much going to be used as a bargaining chip. Because remember, also, it's not just U.S. people on that list. It's also world leaders, potentially. Potentially. People from other countries. And if that list is in the hands of Trump's DOJ, could you imagine what Trump would potentially use that for? Right? Because as long as it doesn't get out. Now, like I said, we don't know if Trump's on it or not. We don't know. But as long as the list is a threat, he will have all the power against pretty much every leader or anybody who's been connected to Epstein. Because we don't know what they know. Because, like I said, they recovered so much information, conversations, video. They may have something that they can use. And this is going to be the priority here. The priority is not going to be getting justice for the victims in the United States. The priority is going to be how can they use that list or the threat of the list for Trump to get what he wants on a global scale. That's what this is going to be about. That's what it's going to be about. So Bondi releasing that in that framework is more like, hey, warning, look what I'm about to do. You better play ball with me. It's going to be interesting to see the attitudes of the people in other countries, the leaders, or the people who are connected to those leaders, or even donors, or even people who, like, in different areas. It's going to be interesting to see how they start to react over the next coming months. Are they going to be favorable for Trump? Are they going to be nicer? Are they going to say things? Are they going to do stuff? Are they going to be less critical of his actions off the fact that he could pretty much ruin them if he was to say, hey, put a name out there. I think that's the bigger picture. Because, like I said, Epstein is a guy that was connected way outside of just the US. There's some names on there that's probably not US related. So the ramifications that that could have on a global scale, that's a ticking time bomb. And if you use it properly, which Trump is a guy, he's a negotiator, he's a guy that likes to use leverage. He probably is more willing to do that than to blow the whole thing up. That would be my take. Now he has to delegate. He has to be very delicate with it because obviously his base wants those names released, right? But if anybody could convince the base that that list not being fully released in the form of, I could do better, I can use that to bring those leaders down to heal at the greater good of America, his base will probably be okay with that, which is kind of scary to say, right? His base will probably go along with that. Not all of them, but most of them. They're like, well, if it's the good grade of the country and we can, do this or do that, yeah, maybe that's Trump knows what he's doing. He's right. So they would probably go along with it. Now I wouldn't bet on that, but that's a possibility. So if anybody could finesse a base, people, if anybody could finesse their people, it's probably Trump could do that. He could pull that off. He's done it many times. So, and that's like I said, that would be my theory if we was to fully 100% believe that he's completely in the clear of that. Now, there's a couple other different scenarios, of course, that could play out in a different way. You get what I'm saying? So it's not fully. I mean, there's a lot of different things with this. Like you can take this and go many places, people. You can go many places with this. And it's like as of this moment, like I said, this is all conspiracy. I don't have any inside information, but what I do know is that this whole lead up to this scenario from yesterday was just some fucking bullshit. It was bad, and you gotta at least be disappointed. Like I don't want to hear no excuses. I don't want to hear anything about we're the party of stopping human trafficking. No, you're not. And on top of that, what is Trump thinking with his administration? Like I know Trump said in the what the allowing the takes to into the helping the takes to get to the U.S. and avoiding being held accountable or being facing charges or facing for human trafficking the same day that your DOJ is releasing files on a human trafficker. That's just like the timing of that was bad. That doesn't look good for Donald Trump, or at least it doesn't look good for his administration. Now he said, which I don't believe him at all, because there's two things here. He said that he did not know anything about the U.S. Putting pressure on Romania to allow the Tates to leave the country. What kind of pressure you had to know? Because why would Romania release two people who are potentially facing charges of serious charges? Why would Romania do that? Why would they release unless they had? Because if you call me as a world leader, right? If you call me on something that serious, it would be like you trying to make a trade for like swapping a prisoner, but you don't speak to the president of the country, right? It'd be like Ukraine, Russia, and U.S. making a deal but Biden is not doesn't speak at all, or whoever it was with Vladimir Putin. Like, they're not even talking. Like, oh yeah, Putin doesn't know that we're trading for Brittany Griner. He has no idea about that. He just heard about it as Griner was getting on the plane. Come on, like, right? Like, come on, dude. Like, that makes no sense. Like, you're lying. You're lying. Flat out lie. Flat out lie. And and I think honestly, he probably lied on purpose, because then the story becomes about the lie instead of the actual Tates and their charges, right? Because at this point, I think, because I know people like to say, "Oh, this guy's losing his mind," and I don't know, maybe he is, but I still have a bit of me is still thinking that he's trolling the media at times, or he's completely just like, you know what? I know I'm going to say this, they're going to run with it, and I'm just going to do what I want. Some part of me would still believe that, right? Because there's no way that it's a coincidence that all that happened in the same day, on a Thursday, right? Going into the news dump, end of the month. Hey, usually Friday is usually when that kind of shit happens, but they know by Monday all this is gonna be over. No one's gonna be talking about the bullshit release of the Epstein. No one's gonna be talking about Andrew Tate's arrival. You'll hear about it on right wing media because he'll make the rounds on the podcast. He'll show up to like Patrick Bet David. He'll go to all the, he'll make the rounds. But outside of that, unless he says something ridiculous and someone clips it and shows it on social media, there's not going to be news segments on Andrew Tate arriving in the U.S. after by Monday. He'll be gone, and Trump will just be it'll be on to another story. But it is kind of crazy that that happened in the same day. I mean, it's just weird. And Ron DeSantis, good for. I respect Ron DeSantis for him saying, "Hey, we're not really down for like that type of stuff in Florida." Like I said, I don't know if he did that because he feels like he's in a rival with Donald Trump, so he feels like he's trying to separate himself. He wants to promote his wife to be the next governor, Byron Donalds, who's been endorsed by Donald Trump, and you could tell that if Casey's fully in the run, the angle here is going to be they're going to play into the criminal element, right? Because Donalds has a bit of a checkered past. He's endorsed by Trump, who, he was found liable in the UG Carroll case, and then he was convicted of the 34 counts. So they're going to really play up that, because they already started with Donalds. People who was online releasing, and I have to think that was the DeSantis people, the DeSantis base, the camp, like the social media people were out there releasing all type of stuff on Byron Donalds. They're dirtying him up now, which is kind of early in the game. They're trying to get him out quick. Like, they're not going to play around. So unfortunately, they wasn't this aggressive when DeSantis was running for president. But maybe they seem to have learned their lesson. They said, "Hey, we're just gonna take this guy." Or maybe they're just racist. Who knows, right? I mean, maybe they say, "Hey, shit, the black guy's easy to take down. We'll just like dirty him up, bring up that he's a crook and a scammer, right?" You know how them older folks down in Florida, they're not fond of supporting scammers. I mean, they've been victims. Probably, I'm pretty sure many of them have been victims of some kind of phone scam from some Nigerian, and they look at Byron Donalds or a crook, right? Did he have some issues with like scamming or something, or a robbery or some shit he had? I don't know the full details, but they probably see him like, I don't know. Like I said before, I don't think Donalds is going to win the primary anyway, even with a Trump endorsement. I don't think he wins. I just think that it's going to be hard, like, especially considering now where we're at. They're not trying to put any any brothers in the governor's mansion down in Florida. That's not gonna happen. I mean, forget about the fact that the white people, the Republicans, who may not even want to support a brother, even with Trump's endorsement, the Latin people ain't gonna want to support you either, right? You think the Cubans are gonna vote for some Negro? They close to white. They feel like they white. They're not doing that. Like, and you ain't got much of the black vote in Florida because many of them are not really your biggest fans either. So he really don't have a path to victory, to be honest. Casey DeSantis, you know, the only thing that Byron may have over her is that he still has the man factor over the male factor, but that cancels out because she's DeSantis' wife, and DeSantis is loved in Florida. They liked in Florida, at least for now. I know people are upset about the insurance thing, but Casey DeSantis is likable. And Ron even alluded to this when he was talking about it. He said she's more likable than he is. Like, she's more, I think people like her more than they like him, which is a leg up for her. She probably breezed through the primary. And honestly, I think Trump's early endorsement was more like a dig at DeSantis. I don't think he really probably believes that Byron Donalds, because he endorsed Donalds before Donalds even got in the race. Like, right? Like, Donalds wasn't even officially in yet. He was like, yeah, Byron Donalds is my guy. That was just him. He's using Donalds to jab at DeSantis, but it's gonna backfire because Donalds is just not gonna win. He ain't gonna win. The closer they get, you'll see as they get closer to the election. I'd be shocked if he got out of the primary, to be honest. I don't think he beats Casey DeSantis. I don't think he beats her in the primary. And she probably goes on to win the general. Probably, but it would be tough. But that's all the drama going on. And the GOP's got a lot of drama. And the Democrats got drama too, folks. Because the Democrats seem to be very weak on resistance. Besides a few people, right? Like the Jasmine Crockett's and the AOCs, they've been speaking up against Trump and Elon Musk. But the rest of the GOP seem to be very quiet. And they don't want to do much. They're just waiting. They're hoping that the threat to democracy will be enough. But that card has been played and it's insufficient funds. The threat to democracy card has insufficient funds, folks. The people who have spoken in 2024, they don't care about threats to democracy. Right? That was pretty much what they said when they went to vote. So you got to find something else. And right now, there's nothing. They're hoping that and the strategy hasn't really changed much. It's almost like the new strategy of threats to democracy is hoping that they're pissed off enough about losing their jobs, losing their insurance, losing their food, that they would vote against them. But I'm not so sure that will be enough. You need a plan. And if you don't have a plan, it doesn't matter what you say. Because the MAGA people don't watch. They don't watch Jasmine Crockett. They don't watch any of the Democrats that are out there talking to Democrats. So they won't even hear half of the stuff. From my research and my monitoring of right wing and left wing social media and podcasting and stuff like that, it hasn't really hit the way Democrats think it is. Like, Democrat has this notion that it's complete panic mode in MAGA land. And they even got on, like, I saw a couple people lying on podcasts saying that, oh, You see the town halls, they're going crazy. No, what happened in those town halls was some of those town halls where obviously activists showed up. That's absolutely true. I mean, just all you gotta do is watch. Like the one video that they use as their example that MAGA is crumbling is the one where the lady goes, "Are you for Ukraine? Who you want to win the war, Ukraine or Russia?" Like it was this one video where the lady says, "Who started the war?" Like there's no MAGA supporter going to town hall meetings and talking about and taking a position of pro Ukraine, right? They're not even talking about. They're talking about America. I'm talking about the hardcore MAGAs. They're like America first. They want to cut the aid from Ukraine and Russia. They're not going to town hall saying, "Hey, who do you want to win the war?" Like looking for the Republican congressman to say, "You want Ukraine to win. You want Ukraine to be." As a matter of fact, there's been. You can make the case that, and I'm not saying this for every single MAGA, but the and here's the crazy part about the 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 way that the liberals on these podcasts are responding. One minute you said that the MAGAs are concerned about Ukraine, then the next minute you're saying that the MAGAs are pushing pro-Russia propaganda. So which one is it? Are they pro-Russia or pro-Ukraine? They're not both, and so that doesn't make any sense. There's no evidence to suggest that MAGAs are on Ukraine's side. Not from what I've seen. I don't see anything. So when you talk about there's town halls and these MAGA those people might be Republicans, like normal, regular Republicans. That might be like the pro-Ukraine side of Republicans, but they're not MAGA. And these left-wing people are lumping MAGA in with all Republicans, and this is how you know they're losing the plot because these are two different sectors of the right wing. There is some overlap, obviously from like political affiliations, but ideology there is a separation. Um, they're marketing it as MAGA is upset. I would say at best, Republican voters, not MAGA voters, are at those town halls because I don't see MAGA people even um, showing up in numbers to a place unless Trump is in the building, right? And then if they are they show up in MAGA gear. They got the drip down from MAGA toe head to toe. That's the only time they'll usually show up to like a large event. They're not. They're not showing up to some random politician that Trump doesn't even know. If Trump hasn't endorsed them or they haven't been on the stage with Trump, the MAGAs don't even probably know them. So that's why I highly doubt that there's a bunch of MAGA Republicans showing up to town halls and just like going crazy on the Republican Party. Even if they were a little bit disappointed and concerned about what's happening, like as far as like their benefits and shit, they haven't been at town halls. Sorry, I'm just not buying it. Not at the rate that the Democrats are saying they are. So if they're banking on that to turn MAGA, I mean, as of right now, they're completely off from what I've seen. Like I said, it could change 6 months from now, but they keep reporting that they keep going online and speaking like that. Like I've seen even some of the Republicans, which I'm surprised the Republicans are even doing this. Not the MAGA Republicans, the anti-Trump Republicans, like those type of podcasts. I've been paying attention to that too, and they've been saying the same thing. They're like, why would you guys lie like that? Why would you make that up? That doesn't even make sense. That doesn't make any sense. Because the first issue that if a MAGA did flip, and this is just my opinion, it wouldn't be them. The first issue would not be them taking the position of being pro-Ukraine. That wouldn't be the first thing they if they did flip on MAGA. That wouldn't be the hill that they will die on. It will likely be something that's like U.S. related, right? Like, you know. So I don't know. I just think that the Democrats are just gonna blow it again if they just don't stop lying about or being honest or just really, they're gonna blow it. They have it. They have the advantage, but they're gonna blow it if they continue to like miss the plot on what's really going on. They're gonna blow it. So Democrats, you're crazy. Like seriously. Like you have the advantage here. If you don't mess it up, you can get the House back. But it seems like they don't have any balls. Their balls are gone. Where are your balls at, Democrats? Where are your balls? They seem to you've been neutered. You've been neutered. Right? They sliced them, diced them things all like the Democrat balls are sitting in the chambers of on the top of the speaker gavel. Democrat balls sitting there, right? All right, House in session. But look, it's only been like a month, a little over a month. We'll see. There are some fighters. They have fighters, but they're not reaching the people. And they're gonna sit back, and so far their strategy seems to be we're gonna sit back and wait for the MAGAs to get mad enough to turn on Trump. That's their strategy, to be honest. That's their strategy because they keep mentioning it when they talk about it. Like, oh yeah, they're eating their face, and when they lose that Medicare, they're gonna be bad. Like they just keep saying that shit over and over. It's like, dude, first of all, that's not cool that you would, because it's not only MAGA people that's suffering. It would be everybody suffering, all kind of people. But when these coastal elites who got a bunch of money and they got these podcasts and they pay off from the networks that fired them, they get to sit online, drink their wine, and completely pretend that they're better than everybody while indirectly shitting on their own base. No solutions, no nothing. Right now, there's no solutions coming out of the Democrat side. They're just gonna wait, and they're waiting for the shoe to drop. But if enough people love the shit show, they're gonna want more of it. They're gonna want more of the shit show, folks. So, you tell me what you're gonna do. I'll be waiting.